This story, just amazing. Mutiny aboard a U.S. Airways flight. Passengers became enraged after a flight attendant forced a blind man and his seeing eye dog off the plane right before takeoff. In fact, they never took off. So enraged, in fact, were many of the people on this plane that they canceled the flight altogether. Does the disabled man have a case? Joining me now, Chris Merlin, attorney for the Merlin Law Group in San Francisco, and Bill Frumkin, partner at Frumkin and Hunter. Bill, I'm going to start with you. We don't really know all the facts of this case. What we do know is this man, Albert Rizzi, on the plane, legally blind, with a seeing eye dog. Problems erupt after an hour and 45 minutes on the tarmac. I think I would be a little antsy as well. Yeah, well, I think everybody was. There's no question about it. This gentleman obviously had his dog rightfully on the plane because there is a federal law that does permit you to do that. It's called the Air Carrier Access Act, and it actually preceded the Americans with Disabilities Act, so there was some thought of dealing with this issue. But when he got on the plane, it looks like his dog would not stay under the seat where he was supposed to be, but
and
that caused the trouble. But it's a big dog, Bill. I mean, look at this. This is the lab. That's no tiny dog.
Well, it happens all the time. I think dogs are allowed on the plane. They just can't block the aisles or make any unsafe condition. And in this particular situation, obviously the airline personnel thought that it was creating a problem, and therefore he was asked to leave.
And he was asked to leave, and I think it got pretty ugly. Chip, I want you to listen to what Albert Rizzi had to say on his own behalf, and then get your comment. Listen to this.
Feeling marginalized, disenfranchised. My sense of confidence in the things I've accomplished as a blind person were diminished. There was no time at all that my dog was off leash and running around.
What do you make of that?
Well, I think if you especially go to the websites for disabled Americans, you find that this is a very common problem. They complain about it all the time. And just using your common sense, had they just had him situated in the bulkhead up by the window, he wouldn't have blocked the aisle or anything. And that's what most airlines do. But for some reason in this particular case, common sense was thrown out the window.
Well, common sense was thrown out the window, and I apologize for not getting your name correct, Chris. My apologies. I'll turn to Bill now. Now, you favor the airline here, which I find shocking. I mean, look, they practically had an insurrection on this flight. People were sitting there watching it, and when you hear people talk on camera, because we've had some of that on Fox News, about what happened, what took place, what they say is, they didn't hear anything. There was no kerfuffle. The airline has said, oh, well, this man was out of control, but it didn't seem that way to people on the plane.
Right. Well, I wouldn't say favor is the correct word. I think the word is that I can understand the airline's position with respect to safety issues, but I think, as I said to you before we went on, unfortunately, there's a war back there in coach. In other words, people getting on with all of their luggage and not sure they're going to get it in the bins and whether it fits under the seats. There's a lot of tenseness going on I guess, on this side, not on the passengers, but on the people that are dealing with these issues. So it may be that there was somewhat of a spillover here from the people on the airline about the situation, and then there was an opportunity for an air passenger revolt, and that's exactly what happened. Who's to say, who is right or who's wrong? The law does protect individuals like this. However, it doesn't allow them to have their own particular lawsuit called the private right of action.
All right. Chris, what do you say?
Well, in this particular case, what's going to happen is there's going to be an investigation to find out, indeed, if there was discrimination. And the truth of the matter is they should have had an officer there. By law, there's supposed to be a person that overrides the flight attendant and says the person can stay there. The only other person can override that individual is the pilot. In this case, it looks like the crew really got it wrong. And if you think about it, if they can't handle a blind man and their dog, how are they going to handle a real emergency situation? I'd be concerned, and this is not a good day for U.S. Airways.
Not a good day for U.S. Airways. Well, you guys are agreeing. I don't know if I like that.
I would say this, though, that I think there's more to this story that's been portrayed in the articles, et cetera. And I think in the end, for them to actually cancel a flight, that's a pretty serious thing. So something is going on that I think we're all missing. But unfortunately for the gentleman, he did end up, on the cutting room floor, as we say, and that's very unfortunate.
Chris, last word?
Well, there was a mutiny. A lot of times you have mutiny on the high seas, and they only happen because there's a lack of leadership. In this case, all the passengers were behind the dog and the disabled blind person. I mean, give me a break. Something else should have happened here. And as I said from the very start, common sense went out the door. They should have just put them up in a bulkhead seat where they always do this stuff. I fly a lot, and that's where you find people up there with the service dogs. Why they didn't do it in this case, who knows?
Chris and Bill, thanks. Good stuff, guys. What a case. I'm sure we will hear more about this. Thanks so much for coming on to both of you.